Welcome, Dr. Bruno Capurro. Dr. Bruno Capurro is originally from Chile, and he is working right now as an orthopedic trauma surgeon in Barcelona. And I think he's successfully finished his PhD thesis. I don't remember, 10 days ago, or how many days ago?
Last Friday.
Last Friday.
After 5 years, last Friday.
Yeah, and we want to talk today about Dr. Capurro's PhD thesis. So I would like to ask you 3 questions. First of all, the topic of your thesis and the time from beginning and to finish your thesis. So how long was the time and what was your topic of your thesis?
The topic of my thesis was we are trying to develop a new implant from labral reconstruction. So we, in our team from research, they start a long time ago with this research on knee. And then my thesis director, that is Dr. Monjao, who is the president of ESCA Society, and Dr. Tay offered me to continue the project with Dr. Tay. So it's a long time ago. We started in 2016, following with that. And we have a lot of good things, bad things in the process. I think in Spain, it's not that easy to make research. You need to find your own way to apply to different scholarships. It's hard to win any scholarship. And I think the reality of the thesis start when we win one of the biggest scholarships here from the Catalonian Society. And then we start, and that was a big economic input to do the research, forget all the materials, because it was a biomechanics study on cadavers. So it's not only difficult to find the cadavers, because we make all the procedures and all the stuff in 2 years, but the real work was before. And I think it's one thing when we are talking before, it's like really important to have a team that can teach you, support you, and you need to have good thesis directors or tutors and can guide you in the road. It's quite that. And that's the reason with the COVID, when we are going to do the final experiments, we have the problem then with the lockdown. So we missed 1 year. So that's the reason, because we finished 1 year after the schedule. But I think it's a beautiful process to anyone to do it.
Okay. So you said 5 years because 1 year you have to extend it due to COVID. So usually, I think, as you said, 4 years, you need 4 years to finish your PhD thesis if everything works out. Or can't we say like this, or can we say like this?
You can do it in Spain. You can do it in 2 different ways. Mm-hmm. One is when you have one line of research, and then you have 3 different papers like this, and in the same way, and you can make put all together, and this is one thesis. And the other system is the old way, I do it, is make a huge research, and then you follow the steps. Also here in Spain, it's a little bit easy because the pre-doctoral courses, we do it in the residency. So it's a big advantage, I think, with the other countries than these courses. You make it because you need to do it. So that's really good. And I also have the advantage before, because I have a postgraduate course in Chile when I finished medical school on research. So it's all the side of research is quite easy for me, how to manage the data, how to collect all the data, and how to do the statistical side, or what do you want to ask for the statistical people, because you cannot do all the difficult calculations. You need one guy to help you.
Okay. So as you said, I think you had a very good background, right? As you said, because you learned everything in Chile. Huh?
I have the half background.
Okay, but at least, yeah, but at least you had a background. For me, I think if I want to ask you about your recommendations, for example, I'm a young guy and I have the same goal like you to become a PhD. So what is your recommendation? Do you have any recommendations for people like the young people, they want to do research? Any specific recommendations? Well, what should have to learn first? Or
I think the most important thing is to have passion in what do you do. I think you need to find any concept or any idea that you love it, because it's a hard work. And if you love the project and you believe it's going to be something useful for the society, it's really important. I think that's one of the main objectives, is try to find something that like you, because I know a lot of people who start some PhD and they don't finish the PhD because they don't like, sometimes some surgeons, they start in the residency doing some like spine thesis and they want to do knee. So something, it's not compatible. So yeah, you need to find what do you want to do it. And I have the idea I want to work in hip preservation surgery since I was really young, and that's my main objective. And this is one of the, sounds like basics, like it's not that important, but I think it's really, really, really important when you talk with the young people. It's really important to think, what do you really want? Because it's not about your ego, it's more about what do you want to do to help the others or to do some stuff. I think that's one my main objective in that way. Secondly, you need to have a good team. So, and the good team start for good professors. So that was really important for me. I have the lucky to arrive and do my residency with Dr. Monjau, Dr. Tay, who are international reference on this field, preservation. And it was really easy to talk with them, what are the steps. Then you need to find what is the best program that suits to your time. Because I started my PhD when I was finishing the residency, being a chief of residents. And that years was like madness for about time, because I was doing both stuff and also another degree, and it was really hard. And I think it's important, maybe don't hurry up to do it. It's more important to have the time to do it with a good quality. I think it's really important. Take in consideration that it's gonna take you a lot of time, and I think it's important. But it's good time and it's a good inversion, I think so.
And your recommendations regarding, because for example, if you finish the experiments, then of course everybody wants to publish it. So do you have any recommendations for young people if they have no experience, what to do? What should they do?
Supposed to do the PhD, you need to have a master before. So with a master, you need to know some knowledge about research. So it's important to know where you're going to entry. So what things about research is important is to have good, what do you want to do it? You need to put it in the right place in the Excel database or Stata or SPSS. You need to know how to manage your data. So that's really, really important, and you need to ask for help with that. So because you can have an amazing experience, but if it doesn't have a good statistical support, it's really hard to find what do you have in the results. Okay. So I think one good thing is important.
And regarding writing, how was for you the writing process at the beginning? Could you improve yourself during your PhD thesis because you had more experience, because you wrote more and more, or what can you recommend for young people?
I think it's don't be afraid to do it. I think the best way to learn is to commit mistakes. It's not a perfect person to gonna write the perfect paper for at the end. That's the idea, that you have the support for your directors, or always about like the project you are starting now, that I love it. It's ask from people who know more without have afraid for nothing. You can ask, can you help me? And that's it, is one of the key for me, because I have a lot of problem with the engineering stuff. We doesn't have an engineer in our team, and it was a biomechanical study. So I start to ask a lot of people. At the end, one person from United States helped me a lot with the solution with the TechScan software. That is a really complex software. Then I need to learn like some engineering stuff that is totally different. I'm a surgeon. What I need to do some engineering stuff, and that's what important thing about the passion for you have, because I want to success with the project, and it was really important to ask for people to help you in the different steps that you need to do it. So that's the big advice is don't be afraid to be like less. You always can ask for help. And I always said to people, if you want to ask me, if I can help you for sure.
And have you ever thought about like a research coach? Have you ever heard about it, or what do you think about this? Is this helpful for a young surgeon or for a young scientist? If you have someone they can teach you, or they can ask you, you can ask them to if you have any questions. What do you think?
I think that's really, really important. In my case, my coach was Dr. Monjao, Dr. Tay, and Dr. Reina. They are my thesis directors. But about what you asking me before is like, especially these people, do you need to pay for help? I think if you doesn't have too much money to do the research, in Spain it's also really hard to pay for research. Also for help with the translation, some people doesn't speak English perfectly or the grammar, and always some money in the back, it's hard to find it. And in research it's really important when you have this coach, if it's not that expensive to help you, and it's gonna be you're gonna lose less time, that's really important to use it. But I didn't need it because I have it, my professors.
Okay. And my last question is, if you think about the time, your PhD thesis, because everybody is doing mistakes and we have to do mistakes to learn from the mistakes. So what were your mistakes? Or maybe you had no mistakes, but I think everybody.
No, I have a lot of. I also, I always said, like in the middle of the thesis, when the sensors was, two sensors was broken, I didn't know about engineering stuff. So I have some mistake. And I was also like one day in the biomechanical structure, lying on that, like crying alone after 2 weeks then of holidays that I take it to do it. And it's all the tests fail. It was 2 years ago that, and it was so frustrating, so hard. And that's one of the reasons that you need the passion to overcome that. You need to have the resilience to fight against this difficult. One big mistake that I commit is then I start the project without engineering support. I was thinking, oh, this is just the continuous of the previous thesis of our group, so it's going to be easy to manage these sensors. And in the end, this kind of sensor, the company doesn't stop selling that. So we need to adapt another sensor. And 2 years after appeared the hip sensor that was fit perfectly. But you commit a lot of mistakes in the process. The important is you can overcome about this.
Okay.
So that's the main mistake. And the second part is about you know perfectly that one thing is make the test, and then the second part is to write the thesis. So the big mistake is I start to write the thesis at home, and I think it's impossible to work at home. Then I go to the library, and when I start to work in the library, like if it was a really job, that's the best moment to totally focus, disconnect everything, and you just write. And this is high efficient time you need to make your place to do it. So that thing is one of the biggest mistakes at the beginning. And then when I do it at the end, I finish the thesis in 3 weeks.
Okay.
But totally focused.
Okay. And you worked every day, how many hours on your thesis?
No, the problem is, I told you I start with when I finish in the residency, and then I start to work in the hip team and doing surgeries like 40, 60 hours per week. Then I have the 3 on-duty calls. So I make my PhD in the afternoon, early in the morning, 6 a.m. to 7:30. So you need to have the passion to find your time. I love sports. So for me, it's like to train like for championships. You need to train every time. And and find the time behind everything, you know. It's like.
And what was the hardest part in writing your thesis? Was this literature research? Was it citation, or what was the hardest part? What?
I told you before, like I have the previous knowledge about how to do it, the manage the literature. I was working sometime with Mendeley. I work with Sotero, that's another app, and that's working really good. So manage that is not that so hard. I have a lot of experience because we have a program in the residency. Our hospital is one of the most hospital that then research more in Spain. We have like all the Congress in like the National Congress. We have a lot of publication, the whole team, like it's like the endo clinic. You have different people who is all the team working on research. That's really easy. So it's not a big deal for me to take the papers. And also one of like 2 important papers that I couldn't get it from the university, I just write directly to 2 of that doctors on Instagram. And that's the people just ask me, and what I tell you before, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like I think that's one key of the success of my thesis.
Okay, so Bruno, thank you very much for your time, and congratulations from my side one more time for your successful PhD thesis. Stay healthy, and I wish you all the best for your future career, and you are always welcome in Germany.
We need to do it. We need to do some surgery together, my friend. I want to thank you